It's about to go down.
It's lovely pass, and there he turns cleverly. Can he find a finish? Oh, he can!
Skill by Joshua, and a return right hand. Good counter right. Bullen is hurt. Second right hand. That clipped him as well. Now he goes in for the kill.
Well, Ricciardo is inching into the lead, and Ricciardo that win the Italian Grand Prix!
Aghahowa running the floor.
Still leading the way with Canada in there too, with the Netherlands.
And Musa makes it 4 goals in 2 World Cup matches.
The Monaco Grand Prix! Ricciardo triumphant in Monza.
Through Bowden, Barrett, and an early touch and an excellent...
Sports Orbit. We make the world go round.
It is crisis, right, left, and center that actually rock the Nigerian Basketball Federation. The news actually broke last night, and at this point in time, this has been the major talking point for all the sport stakeholders around the country as the build up of the NBBF election, which is actually coming up later this month, October 30th, right there in Benin City. This is how we welcome you to yet another fresh edition of Sport Orbit right here on the Leadership Podcast Studio. My name is Olawale Ayeni, and I'll be your host for today. You can see in the studio with me and my editor. We are flying black and black today. Sandy Fosman, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine, but it's just that everybody's feeling the cool of what is happening in the basketball. It's not the good music to hear at all. After now, it's like our basketball have turned into like football crisis, and then we're just talking about athletic crisis, football crisis now. The basketball has even been the battle of all.
Of course, Alpha make a return to the show after his absence yesterday. How you doing? How you feeling today? Better?
Yeah, better.
Of course. Looking at
again, nice to be here. Yeah, but I mean, I made a return to meet up with the crisis in the NBBF.
Of course, a whole lot has actually happened between Sunday, yesterday, and also today. Looking at the crisis, rocking the Nigerian Basketball Federation. We thought that it's going to be over soon due to the forthcoming election, but it seems that there is no light at this end of the tunnel. It means the tunnel is still, are still very, very long. We still have to go through about it. Actually, the Tigress, we know that they are 3 times African champions consecutively. They actually came out in a video to actually slam the leadership of the Nigerian Basketball Federation, saying that they have not been paid right from 2019 to date in terms of the welfare package, and also after winning the Afro basketball for the country. But at this point in time, there's a whole lot of crisis, and they are saying about the money given to them from the banks in Nigeria, running into $100,000 were not given to them. They're supposed to get a training grant from the Olympic Games. Also, it's yet to be given to them. About $197,000 they're supposed to get has not been actually been given to them. But in this whole thing, who should be blamed in this whole news that is actually coming up from that federation? Accusing finger is actually pointing out to Kida at this point in time. Also, some is also pointed at the sports ministry as Khalifa Usman. Let's get your reaction in all of this.
Well, it is quite disappointing that we are in this kind of mess, in this kind of situation in our football, in our basketball, in our sport in general, where we are talking of moving forward. Certain things keep on dragging forward backward. First and foremost, let me not think. I first commended the girls. But despite all the odds against them, despite all the disappointment, everything, they have every reason not to play the basketball. But despite all they keep their camp cool and ensure they play the basketball and win the title for Nigeria for the 3rd time. I commend them for their patience and quality. But now let us look at the issue realistically. First and foremost, the case which is being pointed at the leader who is in charge of the basketball. Good and fine. either need to come out and explain. At the same time, the Minister of Youth and Sport came out with a release denying that there was an allegation alleged that even the officials of the ministry were taking initiative of the ball that was supposed to belong to the basketball baller. But the ministers came out to deny that allegation, claiming that the money, just like the money that was donated to them by the bank, totally over $100, $1,000. The money was donated from the GTV Bank, Jenny Bank, and Access Bank. So that is pre-Olympic.
Yes.
Those money were donated before the
And
Olympic.
I remember, vividly, the sport ministry came out with a release
That
saying
the
that
money-
the money
the money-
was for both the
the
Tigers
players
and the Tigers.
Okay, this money was pre-Olympic. Now the Olympic was played in August. Now the minister say that the money that was supposed to give to the player were in domicile in NBBF bank account for crying out loud. I'm not satisfied. Nigeria, not me, Nigeria is not satisfied with that explanation. The minister, I believe in the minister, he has been trying everywhere to come out and explain the issue. But please, you need to come out and explain to them and tell Nigeria truly what really happened. You can't tell Nigerians that after almost 2 months after the Olympic, we are saying that you don't have the account to pay the players who labor for the country, who sweat for the country and play for the game and play for the country. And at the same that these same players are complaining, even to and after winning the Afro basketball in 2019 for the second time, and then now winning back for this year again for the third time, all that was supposed to give them as an allowance and the man being moral has not been paid. What kind of discouragement with this? What are we telling the whole world? For crying out loud, what are we telling the world? And Tigress is busy saying that he wanted to come back as the president of the basketball. This is nonsense. Please, you can't. Honestly, this is quite disappointing.
Of course, Alpha, before I come to you, my producer, I'd like you, to play the video of from the Tigress at this point in time, because they all came out, to talk about them not being paid by the sports ministry and also by the Nigerian Basketball Federation.
First, we want to say thank you to the Nigerian Embassy in Cameroon for celebrating us. We appreciate you more than you know. Other than that, we do not feel appreciated or celebrated after achieving this historical feat. In 2017, we won the AfroBasket Championship, and 3 days later, we were presented to the Father of Nations, Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, and his entire cabinet by the former ministry, Honorable Solomon Dalong, as customary with handshake. We have defended our championship and brought back the cup in 2019 and 2021, which is historical, but still no invitation has been extended to the team to visit Aso Rock or a presidential handshake. Why?
President of NBBF, Musa Kita, said that the Federation isn't owing any players, officials, or vendors. This is far from the truth. The last time we checked, our allowances, stipends, bonuses, training grants, and donations made by banks for players, officials, and volunteers still have not been paid.
We are owed $73,118 from the NBBF, $24,000 from the Ministry for the Tokyo Grant, and $100,000 from donations from 3 banks in Nigeria.
Ever since our general manager and team manager resigned, we feel like we're being marginalized. Our senior leadership, like the former president, never really shows up for camps or competitions to boost our morale. And when we have significant concerns and issues that needs to be addressed, when he does show up, we get vague answers, as if our concerns aren't important to him. But when we win, they magically show up for photo ops and celebrations to use for political gain. Musa Kita was not in Cameroon, but somehow he showed up to Abuja to take pictures and to hoist a trophy, again, for political gain.
The Tokyo 2020 Olympics was full of a bunch of distractions for all of us. We didn't know the final roster until the day before the flight. So our first team practice was in Tokyo days before the first game.
There's a lot of things that could have been handled differently to increase our chances of success. Starting with our travel, there was a 36-hour flight, our team gear and uniforms, making sure they're up standard, 2 practices a day, not being able to access medical staff at certain points during the Olympics, as well as gift exchange between teams.
Why hasn't the team been to Nigeria since 2019? We're wondering the same thing. As the Tigress players, we want to go back to Nigeria. We don't understand why we have not been to the country for the last 2 years for camp or for any celebration. It's customary that the team is to go home for major competitions so that we can have morale. It's also important that we inspire the next generation to follow their dreams. Every player that has been a D Tigress since 2017, has their own thoughts and feelings about the dissolved NBBF board and coaching staff over the course of the time. It is evident that our voices have not been heard, our requests for little things have been ignored, on top of not being celebrated or recognized as much as a 3 times back-to-back-to-back African Cup of Nations champion deserves.
Our demands: all money owed to players, officials, and vendors, adequate travel to competitions, and a team manager for all team functions. If these demands are not met, with all due respect to the presidency, the NBBF, and the ministry, all Tigress players will not be reporting to the FIBA World Cup tournament in 2022 in February. We are one united voice.
I stand.
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 You heard it from the players themselves, right? They're actually getting to demand for what is actually their right, and they're saying they're going to boycott the World Cup qualifiers coming up in February. But Alpha, let's get your take on all this NBBF, the Tigress, Aghahowa. That is actually
very sad, if you ask me. I mean, like shortly before we even came on air, why me and Salif were discussing about this thing. You see, these girls are girls that, if they even decide that they are not even going to play for Nigeria, there's nothing to lose. These are people who don't even know much about the country. By birth, they are actually US citizens. But these are girls who felt, let's come back home and don the green jersey and represent our parents' land, actually. And these people come all the way from the US to represent Nigeria, and you treat them in this way. This is terrible. I mean, it is beyond shocking. And I mean, the issue of monies being domiciled in the CBN, that is completely rubbish. You mean there's money you're supposed to give to a particular person and you take it to keep in the CBN? Is that where the money is supposed to be? This money is supposed to be given to these girls for their upkeep and all of this, for their welfare.
Let it put the money is domiciled in the CBN for whose interest?
That's what we're
and
saying.
who benefit from the
that's what we're saying. But at what point, really, if money is supposed to be given to you, Wale, for instance, then you hear that I took your money to keep it somewhere. For what, really? So we heard it all from the girls, and like we were saying, while that video was on, that some quarters are saying it's politically motivated. How, for crying out loud? How? These people have not been paid. Even they haven't even been hosted. When they just came, they just did a small ceremony at the airport. Everybody was rushing, scrambling over each other to snap with the trophy and all of that, not knowing that behind all of this, there is a huge scandal brewing. Of course. Couldn't even host them properly. Couldn't even take them. Shabby reception. Couldn't even take them to be hosted properly by the president and all of that. And Kida is still coming back that he wants to contest as president of the NBBF. I think this is time all sports-loving Nigerians, and especially we sports journalists, should all rise up and ensure that this has to stop.
Of course, because look, it's just so disheartening. Is it because they are ladies or what? Because even build up to the Olympics, there were reports that Kida will actually bypass them to go and watch the Tigers and will just abandon the ladies for crying out loud. They were actually accusing him that he was not in Cameroon, but at the end of the day, he showed up in Abuja and started holding the trophy as if he was the one that actually worked for it. So all this is not actually
But if I may add to it, the Minister of Youth and Sport, I'm just like making a passionate appeal. We are appealing that he needs to come and intervene in this. If let's assume he's not aware of what is happening, but he was at the stadium when the players were hosted, just like Shabile hosted and those, but not a host that befitting players that are won African basketball back to back 3 consecutive times. No nation in Africa have achieved that feat. But these guys were able to put a name on the up there. Today Nigeria has been recognized as a basketball nation. And
imagine if the Super Eagles win the Nations Cup back to back. I can imagine. I'm sure this country will be on holiday. Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah, definitely.
But sorry for cutting. Just people are saying that they are being manipulated, politically manipulated. These are well-schooled girls,
Of course.
well-educated.
Of
This kind of girls, you say you are going to manipulate them for what? For whose interest? For what reason? Are you telling them that okay, you are denying them their right and they don't have a man to speak about their right? This is nonsense.
Just keep quiet.
Please,
Kidnash you try to
forget his ambition about becoming back at the basketball and try to save his image first.
Exactly.
Of course, the Sport Ministry have actually they've come out, to deny allegation that these officials had actually shared the money meant for the Tigress at this point in time. They are saying that all the money this is actually coming from the permanent secretary in the statement signed by the permanent secretary Ismail Abubakar, said that all the money donated for the basketball team are intact and the NBBF official account domiciled with the Central Bank of Nigeria. I begin to ask because I know for sure that when it comes to Federation's account, the people in charge of those accounts are the secretary. The secretary is staff of the Sport Ministry. Absolutely. The treasurer also is also a staff of the ministry, and no money can be signed off without the knowledge of the permanent secretary, the secretary, and the treasurer. So why are they holding this money? Of what benefit? Is somebody trying to actually get interest from this money? I don't really get this.
Because the truth is, I don't even think that money is actually domiciled anywhere. Because that's the truth of it.
No, let us agree that it's domiciled.
No, I don't.
Whose interest we are in domicile the money?
I don't want to even believe that.
Do they get asked you the money? The money is not the NBBF money. It's not the basketball money. It's a player's money.
Yes,
why are you keeping the NBBF account?
I mean, except proving otherwise, I believe this money has been shared and spent because domicile money to do what? To generate interest. For how long?
Allegedly,
and people are suffering. Yes, allegedly, that's what we are saying. But if we know how things are done in Nigeria, this money would have been shared long time ago.
It's just so sad that this is actually coming when the ministers have been appraised by President Buhari at this point in time, and if this can be going under at the supervision of the sport minister talking about Sunday Diary, I really wonder what will be actually going on.
I pity the ministers, pity him for that this is coming up at this time, but he needs to come out and he needs to come and say the record.
Exactly. That's what he needs.
He needs to come out and
he
say
needs
the
to declare his name. He needs to do that.
Because
tell us what actually happened.
There's no how he can exclude himself from
at all. I mean, he's supervising minister, so he can't say he's not aware of what's been going on.
But just to let you know that this is a national embarrassment. I wonder how how other nations will be actually looking at Nigeria, how other talents that we have spread across the world will be looking at the country for them, getting to leave, their base country and coming to represent Nigeria. It shows that we need to actually get it right if we really want all those talents that are overseas based to come back and represent Nigeria in a future tournament, because this will actually bring down the morale of some athletes who are looking forward to represent the country in future tournament. But away from that, we go for a short break. When we come back, we head straight to the news coming from the Super Eagles of Nigeria and also the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Don't go nowhere. It's still Sport Orbit.
Sports Orbit. We make the world go round.
Welcome from that short break. You're still spot on it right here on the Leadership Podcast Studio. We go head straight to the news coming from the Super Eagles camp at this point in time. Well, Leon Balogun, he said he has responded to criticism, saying he's always passionate about representing the country. We know that Leon Balogun also actually was fingered for Nigerians lost against the Central African Republic. In the World Cup qualifier that was actually played in Lagos last week, and he actually went far away in Cameroon and Douala to actually redeem himself. He scored the first goal for the Super Eagles before Victor Osimhen actually see that up for us getting to win the match 2-0 a bit. But looking at Balogun, he actually scored the first goal in the Super Eagles camp for 9 years at this point. For 7 years, I beg your pardon. But looking at his performance over the years, can we say is a strong, solid defender for the Super Eagles?
But yeah, you may not say he's not a strong defender for the Super Eagles, but on average, the team he has done well. He has represented Nigeria well. But I'm not happy that Nigerians are still dwelling. There's no even the big top players in this world, name all the big defenders from this world, have all make mistakes and even sometimes even score against their team. So there's no any player that doesn't make a mistake. And what there's even give a kudos, and if he that a player that has played for the country for 7 years has scored the goal, but he feels so very bad that he was the one that responsible for bringing the team down, and that's why he goes all out to ensure that he's called a goal. He's a turning leg. That should be enough to appease Nigeria. But to continue to dwell on his mistake, honestly, I'm not believing his heart and I don't agree with that. They need to appraise this guy. He has represented his country well and he has done well for the country. Nigeria need to show appreciation. Yes, he was partially responsible for the goal that was scored against Nigeria. But the lad did not end there. He went on the return leg and redeemed his image by scoring the goal. And that for several years, he has never pushed himself to even score a goal, but he always limit himself to his defending role. But knowing that he was the one that responded and brought the team down against the Central Africa in the first game, he moved all the way to ensure that he scored a goal. So at least that should be looking at
Balogun and Trostekon, we actually Nigerians call them the Germans, award in that particular team. Should we actually should Genetro rely on the services of both players going forward?
No, of course. When you have this kind of players, first of all, do we have a better replacement? That's the question to ask. Do we have a better replacement at this point? I don't think so. If we have a better replacement, then we could say, okay, there's competition. But right now, seriously, in that defense of ours, if it comes to the two central defensive positions, we don't really have a strong competition. Is it Omero? I don't think Omero, if you in current form, you can compare Omero like for like, you compare him with Balogun or Trostekon. So I think right now, they are the best we have. So until we find, better legs who, can perform better than these guys, for now, I think we should just keep them and see if they can improve.
Just to let you know, Balogun is 33 years old, and we're expected, to see him, getting to play for the Super Eagles up to the age of 35, maybe after, the Qatar 2022 World Cup event. Actually, who knows? Actually, call it quit for the national team. Still staying with the Super Eagles, Julius Aghahowa has come out to say that Rohr cannot take the Super Eagles to the promised land. Do you agree with what Julius Aghahowa is saying at this point in time? Why not go straight to our Facebook page, send in your comment, and we get to pick it up from there. According to what Julius Aghahowa has actually said, there has not been a major impact from Coach Rohr on the Super Eagles. Having spent 5 years on the Eagles job, I cannot say this is a great thing. I cannot say there is a great thing Rohr has done with the Eagles. I do not think Rohr can take the Super Eagles to the promised land. In terms of the teams developing from one level to another, I have not seen that. Observe, according to Julius Aghahowa. Khalifu, we have been talking about this. Yesterday, it was Iduma that actually said that. Now today, Julius Aghahowa, who knows who will actually come out and say the same thing about Rohr tomorrow. But looking at what Julius Aghahowa said, is it right on point or?
It's not far from the truth. It's right on the point, and that's what everybody has been saying. And these are the players, those who are they may not be good, they will not be a coach. These are the players who have worked with the best of the coach in the whole world, and they know the impact of the coach when the coach is playing in the team. But for 5 years, even if I ask you, For 5 years, can it be point to what
2016?
For 5 years, what Rohr has brought into the team? Nothing. We play a match and we win by luck. Most of the match we have won so far is by luck, not that.
At the end of the tournament, they'll tell us
ask
the
me
team
when
is
like
in
the
the
Super Eagles build from defense to go and score a goal. They just will one blin and score a goal.
We keep launching the ball from the defense to the attack and all that. And,
no, but since the NFL find it difficult to divorce, if you only God know the long that are married, two of them together. Let them continue their marriage or inconvenience. Keep on lamenting.
Of course, we go straight to the Super Falcons camp at this point in time, where the team is expected, to open, camp for, I would call it a Titanic clash, because they were playing the Black Queens of Ghana for the 2022 Women's AWCON Nations Cup qualifiers. That match will be coming up October 20th, right there in Lagos at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena. Before the second leg will take place in Accra, Ghana, maybe in some days. But looking at the list that was actually released by the coach, talking about Randy Wardrum, he has actually called a whole number of home-based players to that particular team. That the likes of Ayomide Ojo from Edo Queens, Ramifat from Rivers United. We have some bulk of the players actually came. Talking about the home base, actually came from Edo Queens, and some came from Rivers United, Rivers Angels. I beg your pardon in that particular one. While Robo Queens also talking about Gift Monday, who actually scored 2 goals for Nigeria against Mali, also is in the mix. Also, surprisingly, we actually, should I say surprisingly, Desire of Paranos also make up the final 23 man squad for that particular important clash. Alpha, looking at this list, are you certain we are going to beat Ghana? Because we know that it was difficult for us to beat Mali. South Africa came to Lagos and they actually give us the trashing of our life. And at this point in time, Ghana, we saw their export in the World Cup. They did marvelously well. And at this point in time, it's going to be very, very, for me, I think it's going to be difficult. It's
very difficult one. I mean, you said it all. You see, like, even during the Aisha Buhari Cup, we said repeatedly that huge gap that used to exist between the Falcons and other female footballing nations in Africa has been closed down. In fact, there's no more gap anymore for South Africa to beat us, for us to lose scandalously to South Africa here in Nigeria. It means no gap anymore. So I see a tough encounter coming against the Black Queens. And when it comes to female football, the Black Queens are not, they're very tough opponents. And for the list of invited players, well, I'm happy that he has injected quite some. I mean, we've said here over and over again, especially the Super Falcons need some fresh legs. And I'm happy that maybe he has been listening to our call, he heeded our call, and of course invited quite a good number of home-based players. And let's see what these players will have to offer. And I believe that gradually we'll need to start integrating these home-based players, integrating some fresh legs, because the truth is a lot of players in the Super Falcons, in my opinion, have overstayed their welcome.
Of course, the likes of Ebi, I know for sure she's about 38, getting to 40 at this point in time. For me, if
you also remember, for a woman playing at 38,
she should actually not call it great. But the winner in both leg, we actually joined 12 others to qualify. We joined Morocco and 10 other countries for the 12th Women African Nations Cup, and that will be held next year in that particular one. But away from that, we head straight on to the news coming from Leicester City at this point in time, where Manchester United are planning a bid for our own Wilfred in that particular one. Quickly, Salifu, we know that Ndidi has been one of the best players in the middle of the pack. Taking a look at the statistic last season and also this season, but just minding due to the fact that he actually got injured for the last 2 games and not been in action. But looking at this move, should he go to Manchester City that has the light of Fred, Manchester United, I beg your pardon, that has the light of Fred, that has the light of Pogba, that has the lights of this guy that plays for Scotland, Tommy in that particular. Can Ndidi break into the first team of Manchester United?
Well, just like you say, if you based on the statistics on ground, if you look in the Premier League, you're talking of the best defensive midfielder, except the only place I can rate you can see is ahead of I mean, Kante. Just if you go to Kante,
maybe Declan Rice.
Declan Rice is happy.
He's even Kante because he's even Kante. I can see that he's ahead of the way he has done well. He has done well that perfectly in that defense. I'm even surprised that he's still playing in there. Let's stop it. And I also commend him that you need to stabilize yourself in a particular, not just drop the goal. But my only scare is that anytime the Manchester United is looking towards African players, I've always had this fear that they're going to develop there because the record, Manchester United record for African players has not been too impressive. So I don't know what is sharing that when Manchester United is looking towards African players because their record with African players has not been too impressive when African players play in Manchester United. But I don't have my fears they can go to any team and cement his place in anything because he's one of the top ranking defensive midfielders in the world. So I'm not having any fear for him going to any club.
Of course. Will you be wanting him to join?
No, clearly. I mean, if he joins United, I think it will be the final piece to the puzzle. Then one other thing will be left, the coach. If the coach will be replaced, we'll bring him there. Man United will be a fine team. Of course. Those are just the two things. A good defensive midfielder and a new coach. Man United will be a challenge for the title.
Zinedine Zidane at this point in time. But just to let you know, it has been 5 years since the Manchester United actually get to lift the trophy.
Not the trophy, they won the trophy last in 20 under Mourinho.
Okay, they won the Europa Cup.
Okay.
So it's not 5 years. But the Premier League now is about 8 years now.
It's 8 years now.
But let's just keep it that way. Let's just not talk about Arsenal at this point in time because if you want to open that chapter, we might not do any show at this point. But before we go, the likes of Senegal and Morocco has qualified for the third round, which is the final round of the 2022 World Cup qualifiers in the African continent. We thought that our own Super Eagles would be home and dry for them to actually see that position, but at this point in time, they are still struggling using calculator for them to see if they can be able to qualify for the next round. But hopefully they still have 2 matches to play. But just to let you know, also the likes of Denmark, the likes of Germany has actually qualified for the World Cup proper. That will be coming up later next year in 2022 Qatar. This is the package of Sport Orbit. It has been nice, talking sport with you guys, Sammy Fullsman, and also Afacho.
Thanks to be back here.
Of course, our viewers, we thank you all for staying with us. We tell you that we return with another big and better package of Sport Orbit tomorrow right here under the Leadership Podcast Studio. But for now, saying have a good day. My name is Baba.